1991. And we would like to see some trimming. We'd be very careful.
What was in 1991?
Well, then you had Democrats very much against the Clinton and his trade, who started it with NAFTA. That's what NAFTA was. And the Democrats were very much against it because we would lose jobs, and guess what? We lost jobs. But the theory of trade is, over time, it will come back. Here's what Trump is saying. And it has some validity to it. It says, how can you be a great power and not make steel? Well, I'm not sure. I would have said that 20 years ago. I would have said it because of wars and you weren't able to make the things yourself. But I'm not sure I can say that today. And I don't know how to bring back, do you know what it takes to run a steel mill today? You know, about 14 people. So there aren't jobs because of what technology has done. So you've got to think these things through before you decide that you want 1991 back again, or forgive me, 1950 back again. Okay. Anything else? Lots more to tell you, but I'm sure you've got lots of business.
Well, Congresswoman, thank you again for coming, and thank you for your leadership. You know, I really enjoyed your talk, and I'm sure everybody else did as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, let's move on to our next agenda item, which is the hearing from the Metropolitan Police Department. Do we have a representative from 1D?
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Lieutenant Jason Bagshaw. New to the first, not new to the first district. I was at the first district as a sergeant back in 2016, but I got promoted in January of this year, and now I've been assigned to 1D. I'm in Sector 1, which is the northwest part of the city, Chinatown. This area, basically PSA is 101, 102, 103 in the evening time. Real quick, just to keep it short, I know you guys have a long agenda. In this area, overall, we're down in crime, in violent crime, compared to last year, we're down 17%. I mentioned that briefly. I don't like to hang my hat on numbers, because as you can imagine, if you personally are the victim of crime, it doesn't really matter if crime is up or down, because it affects you. I do mention the number to say that we're headed in the right direction, but of course we have work to do. The two biggest things that we have issues with, theft from autos has been on a big spike upwards. So I ask for your help in that when your friends, family, or co-workers come to the area, just remind them, do not leave valuables in the car. Seeing a lot of computer thefts. People leave computers in the car, they walk away, the window gets broken, and the computer gets taken. The other thing we're seeing a slight uptick in right now, not so much in this area right here, a little bit more towards Chinatown, is cell phone snatches when people are on their cell phone. And either people are running by or riding their bicycle by and snatching their cell phone. We had one earlier today, but between the video cameras and quick detective work, we were able to arrest the individual about an hour after the robbery occurred. That was down in Chinatown. Those are the two biggest things. If there's any questions for me, I'll be happy to take them. My information is jason.bagshaw. The last name is spelled B as in boy, A, G as in George, S as in Sam, H-A-W. That's at dc.gov.
Thank you. Does anybody on the commission have any questions?
This is the 1D.
1D. I'd like to open up to the audience for any questions. All right, well, Officer, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you, sir.
Representative from 3D?
Hello, good evening. I'm Lieutenant Tom Smith. I don't have any specific statistics that I want to talk about today, but I do want to talk about package thefts. Okay. Just on Saturday, we had a package theft arrest of an individual where the week prior, or about 10 days prior, on February 23rd, he went up and took a package from the property. We got it on a Ring video camera. He went back on March 3rd, examined another package, and but then subsequently decided not to steal it because I guess he didn't think it was going to be worth his time or whatever, because we examined it. So we got that video. We subsequently, in our investigation, realized that he was a person of interest in a couple of other package thefts from about a month earlier. But we also had him on video taking packages. We subsequently charged him with all 4 offenses. Okay. The U.S. Attorney's Office yesterday charged him with 1 offense. And the reason he charged him with 1 offense is because, number one, our office could have done a little bit more investigating in the front end, which we're going to try to rectify that now. But in addition, the quality of the video was not up to the standard where they felt you could definitively say it was that guy. One of the things that stood in our way was that the person who put the camera up put it behind the window. It was inside the residence, and it was behind the glass and the screen. The screen broke up just enough the person's face where we weren't able to charge him with that crime. In addition, last week we had another package theft arrest in LeDroit Park. A citizen had actually emailed me from a community meeting. He just emailed me, "Hey, we're having this package theft problem again." I said, "Sir, do you happen to have video?" Because I just wanted to know how did he know exactly what happened. He was able to give me a description. He said, "Oh yeah, there was video." I said, "Well, did you make a report?" He said, "No, I don't really want to make a report." A week later, that same suspect committed another crime. I took the report for him that day. We were able to charge him with both crimes because I took that report that he didn't want to take. When you can charge somebody with 2 cases or 3 cases or 4 cases, then when it goes to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and if they're good cases, you get a lot better response from them and be able to give this person a sentence in court that'll be effective in stopping them from doing it again. So what we need you guys to do is, number one, if you have video of people stealing packages, please make a report, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a $5 item or a $500 item. Make a report, because the way the court's going to look at it is it's a theft. And if we can go back even a month, later we find the suspect, or 6 months later, and we're able to say it's definitively that person, we can charge them with it, okay? And then, yeah, we have a problem with package theft, but I don't think there's 50 people out here committing package thefts in PSA 308. There's probably about 5. If we can get half of them off the street, we can cut our package thefts probably in half, okay? So I want you guys, set up your video cameras so that, another thing, one of the video cameras was set up that it was right behind where a light fixture was blocking where the packages were. So yeah, you knew what happened, but can you prove it in court? You see what I mean? Because you can't see him actually pick up the package because the camera was obstructed. So just think about when you set up your cameras, set it up thinking, can we definitively prove this person picked up a package and took it? Can we see their face? Okay? Get the best video resolution you can get. Submit your paperwork to get reimbursed from the city. And make sure you make every report you can, because we will go back and look at those videos and compare them to anybody we stop or arrest. And if we can charge them, we're going to charge them, okay? Is there any questions on that?
All right, officer, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Oh,
I have a
excuse me, I'm
question.
sorry.
I didn't have a question about that particular issue, but the most recent crime that my constituents have most been concerned about was the drive-by at
Right.
8th and R that occurred recently. This
Right.
is not the first time that we've had this particular scenario take place. Obviously, especially newer residents are concerned that this was random, which we don't believe that it was random because there's been this long pattern.
Right.
So is there any information that you're able to share at this point about that particular incident?
In that case, from the 25th, 7th and 1700 block of 7th Street, there were 3 victims. All received minor injuries, stable, taken to the hospital. There was a vehicle, they were at the near the metro station. They were all taken to the hospital. One of the victims, I'll say, was not completely cooperative, okay? take that for what it's worth. There was a vehicle that was described in that offense that we subsequently recovered. Okay, that vehicle's being processed, and the investigation is still open. Okay. Is it related to the February 19th? This was on the 25th you're speaking of. Is it related to the shooting at 1800 7th Street on the 19th? Can't say. That incident, the suspect had on a ski mask and was a single individual. This incident was several people in a vehicle. But any type of shooting like that is just unacceptable. I mean, we're doing everything we can. We put up the light tower right after it occurred. Made sure that we get, increased patrols in the area. Our intel units are doing what they can do to try to determine the cause of this and try to put a stop to it. I'm not aware of all of their efforts, but, our detectives are still working on that investigation, particularly with regard to that vehicle, anything that, we can glean from the vehicle.
Well, I do want to share that the property management company, the two property management companies on the block are very cooperative with MPD. They have substantial video recording assets there. They've put in physical security to try to reduce the porosity of the property, because in the past there have been a lot of incidents where perpetrators ran across their property and escaped from MPD when MPD was pursuing. So I do want to encourage MPD to continue to do what you can to communicate with the property management companies so that they can continue to be as supportive as they can of MPD's efforts to try to curtail this activity. Again, we've got about a 30-year history of those types of incidents happening at 8th and R.
Right.
And folks have gotten comfortable with they're not happening as frequently as they have in the past. But folks are concerned that this not be, especially with the summer coming, that this not be a scenario where folks, seniors and kids, can't be outdoors for fear of becoming victims of random shootings.
Right, definitely. I don't think it was random, but until it gets solved, we won't know anything like that for sure. So, like I said, we're going to do everything we can do to put more police presence in the area and draw attention to the area from light tower and things like that. With regard to the cameras in the area, definitely we always try to check the cameras. I can say that like I said last meeting, that as a detective, it's our bread and butter basically now in 21st century is reviewing cameras. So all I can say, with regard to, the last thing I want to say with regard to cameras, make sure you maintain them. I was in Starbucks today, got a skinny mocha, told the manager, hey, I'm looking at your cameras, they look a little bit greasy. You need to wipe those cameras off at least once a week. Just water and a paper towel. Because these are the type of things that people don't think about until it becomes an issue where you can't solve a crime because the camera was greasy and you can't see, the images clearly. So just getting the system is not good enough. Maintain it. Make sure that it's up to a quality that you'll be able to make identifications from it. Okay. Anything else, sir?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have a representative from 5D?
You do. Hello, everyone. My name is Sergeant Brown. I am the PSA 501 Sergeant for the 5th District. Just give you a couple of stats. To be honest, our crime is significantly down when it comes to violent crimes, and that's in the past 30 days in total. We are having a bit of a problem with thefts, but it's usually in that Noma Union Market area. So what our captain has done is she has set aside a mountain bike beat that basically just patrols it and watches and waits for the kids to get out of school to make sure they aren't doing these, I call them burst thefts, but basically when they all stampede a store and take things at, one time. And, even though some of these stores have security, they can't keep up with 13 juveniles rushing out the front doors. So other than that, I want to say in the past 7 days we haven't had a robbery, a homicide, which is always great. What else? We haven't had a burglary. I want to say that's about it. And we are the area that is Bloomingdale, Truxton Circle, Hanover. We have Bates. We have Noma as well, and we have a small portion of Eckington. So
This
that's
is my single member district. In terms of this ANC, it's a very small section of it. It's the Block of N Street, Morgan Street, Kirby. It's that little like.
that little portion
Yes,
right there.
And we're across from Dunbar, and as the weather turns and, you know, they have more events outside, I think, especially when school gets out, we'd appreciate, you know, I work during the day, but if I am working from home, I do see the presence, there's the alley behind the Block of N Street, and students will, you know, I often find them smoking marijuana or doing, you know, not pleasant things that they shouldn't be doing behind there, so just having a more, you know, every so often I do see a car kind of sitting at the corner of Kirby and N as they get out, but just making sure there's more active patrol.
Yeah, I'll alert the school resource officers because they're literally at Dunbar from, you know, the time it opens till after school, and they kind of walk the halfway home with them. I'll have them hit those alleys and just make sure they're not back there doing anything crazy. You said the 200 block of N Street in the rear.
Yeah, and then something else, I think I see a bunch of parking enforcement people in here. There's been a number in the morning, there's a lot of projects going on where construction workers find that our block is a great place to park and they don't enforce it, so they take up a lot of spots during the middle of the day. I see them walking, they go to the big project at
Yeah,
New York and Sixth,
Oh,
so they park there and then they walk. So it's there, and then they go to ones in Noma, there's a project
there's
on
one right across from you.
the
what is
Chapman
that?
Stables.
Yes.
So they find this is a block where they don't, I never see parking enforcement during the day go through there. So they're all out-of-state plates, and it's, you know, they come in groups, which is better than by themselves, but, you know, 6 a.m. they're there, and then the cars leave about 3 p.m., which isn't, it's 2-hour parking. And, you know, just requesting that there's more frequent patrol of that, because it's, you know, it's hard for residents if they, you know, go out in the morning, then they're just,
This space is gone.
yes. And we were going through a process to try and get some, like, resident-only parking, but in the meantime, just more active patrol would be a
Okay. Yeah, because we had a meeting with Chapman Staples. They're, you know, really open to any kind of criticism or whatever's going on. And he's telling me, like, yeah, you know, we'll park across the street and we'll walk across New York Avenue to get over here. They might not be doing
I
it
can't
though,
place
you know.
exactly where they're going, there's a lot of projects, so, but they come in, they're in their yellow vests with their hats, so.
We know what they're doing.
Okay, are there any further questions? Sergeant Brown, thank you so much for your
No
time.
problem at all.
Thank you for
You
coming.
all have a good night. Be safe, please.
Moving on with the agenda, we have Director Shorter.
Thank
from the Department of Public Works.
Thank you all, and thanks for the invitation. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Shorter. I'm Director of the Department of Public Works. Many of you probably know this already, but Public Works covers solid waste management, which includes trash and recycling, dead animal collection, street and alley cleaning, as well as parking enforcement. We also manage and procure 6,000 government vehicles that we call our government fleet here in the district. That said, I want to make two big announcements because we are at that point in the year where we are now starting our street sweeping or signed street sweeping routes. And so on March 1, and we start on March 1 unless weather doesn't allow it, through October 31st, our street sweepers will be coming through to sweep streets. Some of you live on blocks with signed street sweeping, so you know when we'll be coming through and you know when you should move your vehicle. Others who don't live on blocks with signed street sweeping, we come through once per month, and we work around the vehicles because those blocks are not signed. So that said, that program has started. We issue warning notices on cars we've issued between March 1st and March 9th. And so now when cars are parked on the side of the street that we're sweeping, we'll be issuing full tickets, all right? The other thing is in a few weeks, we may get a little bit of snow tonight, but in a few weeks, we will be starting our grounds maintenance season. And so we were talking a bit earlier about pocket parks and other medians that we, as a district government, are responsible for cutting. and cutting on a regular basis. The Department of Public Works works with the Department of General Services to even provide oversight to the contractors that are responsible for cutting the just over 1,000 or so locations or properties within the district that we cut. And so that process will be starting. If there is a pocket park or a median that you notice in the district or in your area that isn't cut, call 311. We now have a very active database of properties, and we could tell you almost right away if it's a district property, an NPS property. Even if it is NPS, we work quickly to get that information to them so that we can get the area serviced. And in a lot of cases, I heard the Congresswoman say we don't, but the district actually does cut NPS properties when we can't get a response. And so we don't like to, we don't like to do it, but we certainly do because this is our city and we want to make sure it's beautiful. That said, the last time I was here, we talked a lot about trash and recycling collection. And I wanted to make sure I touched on that before I opened it up for questions. Let me stop. I'm not here alone. So there are a few others from DPW here. Why don't you all stand up and introduce yourselves? Yeah.
Celeste Duffy, Communications and Community Liaison Specialist.
Inspector Leonetta Bell, DPW Board 6, trash and recycling, illegal dumping, litter can,
Yes.
ETC.
Clifton Weaver, Supervisor for Ward 6, 7, and 8, in the evening, 2:30 to 11 p.m.
Christine Shea, Supervisor for Ward 6, this part of Ward 6 and Ward 2, on the evening shift.
Parking Officer Misha, patrol southwest area, also Ward 6, 7, and 8.
Parking enforcement officer, Sylvester White, everywhere. I do the segue division.
Officer Caldwell, pretty much the same thing.
Very good. Thank you all for being here. This really shows a good sense of the breadth and scope of DPW and the services that we provide. The sweep team is really the face of our agency when it comes to community concerns. So the illegal dumping you might see around a public litter bin where someone has put their entire trash bag essentially next to the public bin, it's the sweep team that's going through those bags to try to find mail so that we can cite and make sure that that person is kept responsible for that action. So that said, in terms of trash and recycling, we have made a number of changes in the way that we provide oversight for trash and recycling since I was here last. In times past or a few months ago, and I even reported it out here, when there is a complaint or a call in for missed trash, generally we send a missed trash truck out or a complaint truck out the following day. That is now happening same day. So when you call to say that my trash was missed, whether it's 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., or even earlier in the afternoon, we're generally sending a trash truck out the same day to collect, all right? Another pretty big change is that we have reorganized the way that we supervise trash and recycling routes. Well, now it's more geographical versus route-based. And so a supervisor, we have 16 supervisors monitoring routes every day. Instead of, you all can imagine, we have trash routes, bless you, and recycling routes that are sometimes on opposite ends of the city. We could have one supervisor that's responsible for a trash route in Northwest and a recycling route in Southeast. And so because of the way that we reorganize, the way that we do provide oversight, a supervisor is now responsible for a specific geographical area. And so it's much easier for them to now actually roll that area and provide oversight. So if a trash can isn't pulled back where it should be, if the top is left off, which I did hear some residents complaining that the trash crews are not putting the tops back onto the bin, that we are now able to, in a much more consistent way, provide that kind of oversight. We have seen a significant drop in the number of missed trash complaints. I understand it's not zero, but we certainly have seen a pretty significant drop. I will stop there and obviously open it up for questions.
Can I ask a couple,
So we have unfinished business from your last visit, but I do have positive information to report back. The consistent lack of pickups on Fridays on the 1,700 blocks of 10th and 11th Streets have now been addressed. So thank you for whatever it was that you did in order to make sure that those consistently not picked up trash cans have been now addressed with that particular alley that we did bring up at the last meeting. So again, I thought that was the principal reason for your coming back tonight, to be able to take credit for having, solved a problem that constituents have been reporting for 3 years. So.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think it's really ongoing, so I am fortunate in that DPW is always relevant, in that there's always some season ending or beginning. So I appreciated the invite and wanted to certainly address the question I received and the complaints that I received about trash and recycling collection, but also wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to talk a bit about some of the other programs that we're starting. So thank you.
So that having been said, just in the past week, I can report that on the 1,500 block of 8th Street, where I reside, on the Tuesday pickup, there was no trash, collected. So neighbors did call in. They were told that trash would be collected by 8 p.m. on Thursday, 2 days later. So I just wanted to let you know that in case your information is that folks are coming out the same day or the following day, it actually took 2 days before the trash was collected. So they did come out on the second day following the day that pickup was supposed to be accomplished.
Okay. What was the address again?
1,500 block of 8th and also the 1,600 block. Those are 2 blocks that when you were here the last time, residents were noting repeated problems with pickups.
Very good. Thank you.
a couple small minor questions. First, I reside, as many of my constituency does, where we have the super cans, which is once a week pickup. But for people who it's, live alone, or, it's 2 households, 2 people in there, we don't make much trash. And week over week, I will see that, everyone else is collected, but they see that there's not much in mine, they're not collecting them, and it's happening to a number of different houses, where I've seen people putting signs, please take me, they feel that it's not heavy, they just kind of walk on. I've seen it happen. I get ready in the morning, you can see out to the alley. So I'm just wondering how we address that oversight without having to put like a post-it that says, please empty my trash can.
You call it in as missed trash because that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And you asked a question earlier about parking enforcement in terms of, so let me say that we, at night, our ROSA program is fully active. So we have officers, parking enforcement officers that rove the city, specifically looking for residents who have not registered in the district. That is not happening during the day. There's nothing illegal about parking in DC without DC tags. And so if you're in a neighborhood where there is 2-hour restriction, then that is absolutely an issue. And we've taken that the block down to make sure.
Well, this is during the day.
Right, and I got you. So if we need to make sure that we have a parking enforcement officer sort of on that beat, then that's absolutely a concern. But I wanted to make sure I, sort of address this sometimes misconception that we're not a city that welcomes out-of-state motorists during the daytime, because there are a lot of people who work, visit the district, and need to park, unless there's a residential permit that's needed. Yeah. But I'm sorry.
And then if you read the blogs or, the listservs, there's a lot of talk about enforcement of people who have alley trash and getting fines for not bringing your cans. Can you talk a little bit about what the actual policy is and how enforcement is being handled?
Sure. So these notices of violation really are our obligation as residents is to put our can out the day before. If we put our can out the day before trash is to be collected, we should put it out no earlier than 6:30 p.m. and you should take your cans back in no later than 8 p.m. the day of collection. Obviously, if there's a missed trash call-in or missed trash complaint, there's a record of that, and any notice of violation will be pulled back. But if there's no if there's no missed trash complaint and trash was collected, then we want to make sure you're pulling those cans back in. And let me say a little bit about the program, because you're absolutely right. I have gotten a lot of emails about notices that have recently gone out. We get a lot of calls from your neighbors, and not specifically this, this.
How do you go to in general?
Right. Residents complaining about their neighbors not pulling their cans in, or their cans being in the way, or their alley sort of being so narrow that they can't get their cars in. So really, there is a need for our sweep inspectors to be out and writing these warnings and notices of violation. It really does help in terms of making sure that our city is clean, beautiful, and that we are doing our part as residents and neighbors. So I don't know if that answers the question, yeah.
And then final question, how often, there's all over the city, resident neighborhoods, downtown, there's public trash cans. Are they all different in terms of when they're supposed to be picked up? Are those ones that are supposed to be collected daily? How does that, because people, dump their own trash and stuff and it piles up and sometimes they don't get picked up. So what's the process? How often should public trash cans be picked up?
Nightly. So our litter can operation, they are up at, and operating every night from 10 p.m. Through 5 a.m. And so every night litter bins should be picked up. And let me also say that working with our bids, there are cans that are, especially in the bid areas, that are picked up sometimes 3 times a day. So it's a constant sort of churn, if you will, making sure that this loose litter is picked up. In the case where there are public bins not in a bid zone, we do have crews that collect during the day from public litter bins, but our actual operation is at night, and they are operating every night, including Saturday and Sunday nights. All right? We do have a significant problem with illegal dumping around the public litter bins, and I like to say it every opportunity I get, and we put a lot of information out via social media. Those public bins are for loose litter and not for private use. This is one of the reasons we don't put public litter bins in residential areas, because it encourages residents to walk out of their home and put their private trash right there in the bin. So just make sure you remind your neighbors that, in a very friendly way, that the public bins are used for the loose litter, not their private trash.
Well, yeah, I know we're getting kind of close on time here, but I did want to bring up one thing with regard to parking enforcement. On Fifth Street, we had one of the multi-meters, multi-parking meters.
Sure.
Was out, it had a bag over it.